Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
As it is. Okay.
So that's fine. I'll give you a copy of that now.
Okay.
Do you want to go and join Mum?
Yeah.
And,
Oh, that's excellent.
That is a good letter. I know, I agree, that is a good letter.
Covered every possible.
But let's get on to other things.
right, so
Okay,
there's
thank
the original
you.
there.
Thank you.
So if I sign this one now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're not doing it.
Chair.
There we go. I got it.
Don't fold it out. Do it 3 ways, but just put it in there for now, man. I'll fold it up into 3 ways now after.
The end of these.
That's the date today, 27th of January 20. Right, so I've done you another copy as well, just in case you need another copy.
Okay, thank you very much.
But what I've said is certified copy of original receipt, my name, date, and my signature. So
Thank
put
you
that
very
one
much.
in with the
Yeah,
letter.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. Right. So, like, as I've been off, I haven't had a chance to write up exactly what we've
That's
discussed.
fine.
But what I'm going to do is I'll do a terms of reference for dealing with the complaint. So, what the terms of reference, I'll write down everything that we discussed on that initial meeting. So, what exactly you need resolving.
What I want as well, because when you phoned, I said to my mother, you wrote it down last week, so there's no need.
Yes.
But if I need it, then I want it put in where I want what was said in that meeting. I don't want what the youth said.
Yeah.
I want, to be quite frank, and you look at it from our point of view,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
There was someone from Cwmtaf there representing me,
Yeah.
Justine Crosby,
That's right,
who
yeah.
wouldn't she let it out that my information was given, thinking, oh, you know, and then when I said, what do you mean my information was given?
Yeah.
Now this woman's got amnesia to the day. Can you understand?
Right. Okay.
Clay Blackmore was there.
Yeah.
We know P.C. Sullivan wasn't there.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
There was another policeman there.
Yes.
There was someone from Merthyr in there.
Yeah.
There was someone from social services apparently, and one of these school liaison people
Right. Okay.
that does with the schools.
Yes.
And in that meeting, my information was given to them used by someone.
Yeah.
We already got a good idea of who it was.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
You didn't say do yourselves any favour by Sullivan coming up the house to life for Claire Blackmore. Didn't do yourself any favours by someone going in the shop and calling me a mental.
Yeah.
Because nobody with mental health issues should be ever be called that.
No. No.
The sergeant, as I said, I give you his Christian name, it's up to you now to track it, was Neil.
Yeah.
These leaflets were done because no answers were given. There's the letter. Do you want to see the full letter from Chief Inspector or Superintendent Francis now?
No, it's fine.
To say the complaint had gone in and someone from North
Yes.
area, which is Merthyr, would be in touch.
Yeah.
That letter from my solicitor was dated on the 18th of May.
Yes.
18.
18. Yeah.
Nobody came.
No.
Now there's no excuse for nobody getting in touch with my solicitor and all that.
No.
The only thing it shows is that it's a cover-up in some way or another. Yeah. And my mother, you haven't heard it, but it's on voice recording. My mother said to my psychiatrist 4 times in one meeting, Doctor, there seems to have been an unholy alliance made between Merthyr Mental Health, Merthyr Police and Merthyr Council. Okay?
See, the way I look at it is, we know who done it because they were, when we were in the meeting there, and Chris Frains turned around and said she did it for empathy, and I did the same.
Yeah.
So he as much as well put his hand on
No,
her name.
his thing was,
Yeah.
my information was given to the youths because it was thought
Yeah.
I'd get their empathy.
Yeah, but what
Yeah.
I'm
Now,
getting
telling
at
you
is,
that someone in that house has got mental health problems, it made matters far worse. And what doesn't help, and it's true, because I've showed those CCTV images to British Legion, ex-Veteran Society, everyone says how that house was being targeted. Do you know the only people who were saying it wasn't?
Go on.
They wear your uniform and they based in this place.
but the point
Merthyr Police.
The point I'm trying to get at is, because of that she wouldn't admit who said it,
Right.
everyone else in that room is being involved.
Right.
Now, unless you get to the person that done it,
Yeah.
it casts a shadow over everybody
Yeah,
else.
and I understand.
So that's why we've got to
But
know
then it
what
draws-
was said in that meeting.
But then
so
they wouldn't be in it if Sullivan hadn't come up the house.
No.
Now bear in mind,
Yeah.
you lot hadn't long come up to see if I committed suicide. They wouldn't even tell my mother if I committed suicide that night.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mother couldn't even tell me. My sister was dying in hospital. Now all this was going on in my family.
Yeah.
But a policeman, P.C. Sullivan, who I got on voice recording, thought it was fine to come up my house and make out. His words were, "John, I'm not calling you CPN a liar," nothing was said. Claire Blackmore was sat there. She knew he wasn't in that meeting. She could have turned round to him and said, "You wasn't at that meeting." He was at one 5 months later. I asked Claire Blackmore on the phone, I said I'd like the meetings from 2 meetings. One where Justine Crosby was at, which is the one I want, and one where Sullivan was at, because they were never at the same meetings with you, and she said no.
Okay.
And I said to the woman up there, the point being is, because Claire Blackmore should have that, they said it, but once you start telling lies, you have to keep on telling.
And you just enrolled everyone else now in it.
Which shouldn't be in it.
Yeah.
If we could have had the
Truth from the out beginning.
yeah,
And I
with the
can see
meetings,
how
if we could
from-
have had the meetings from the beginning, we'd
Yeah.
send letters to the town hall and out.
Yeah.
If they had give us that,
We
wouldn't
know
be
who
where
it was, we
were
know
now.
it was.
And no
And
one
from my
else would have
point of
been
view,
involved.
You haven't heard
Yeah.
the records that I won't played in court, and it's referring to Cumtav.
Right.
Now, it's easy for me to see a solicitor,
Yeah.
because I don't want this settled out of court. Do you understand?
Right, okay.
I'm not in it for compensation. I'm not in it for nothing.
Because-
If I drop dead tomorrow, it don't bother me. I got the condition I got, but to be honest, the only person I want to see is Sally, who passed away. All right, my mum knows that. If my mum goes before me,
Yeah.
she gets buried with my mum. If I go before my mum, she gets buried with me. All that was asked in the very beginning, which is what makes all of you look so pathetic,
Yeah.
was an apology.
Right.
And me moved to somewhere quiet where I wouldn't have had to have put up. I've endured 5.5 years of antisocial behaviour. It's all stored on memory sticks to show a court what Merthyr police say, and this is from an officer with 20 years experience, and it was Sullivan who was going around telling people this, the house isn't being targeted, and the one bloke, Jim, said, "I'm fucking looking at it." He said, "How can you say it's not being targeted?" They walking across the street, they avoid every house and they run up to his.
But when you go back to that meeting again, that person would never have gone in that shop and said that if it hadn't
Come
been
from that
released in
meeting, because I said to the ICO, well, you can go after the police for that, but he said it came from the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by her saying this, she brought everybody into it. But I mean, they did have in their own, even the doctor,
Yeah.
I said to him, doctor,
He's going to hang, but he knew what was going on,
I
and
said,
he covered
"Doctor,
it.
I wouldn't
From
put
my
head
from
on
my
the
point of
doctor."
view, this has been allowed to kind of escalate.
Yes.
And it's gone much further than it ever
Then it
needed
needed to
to.
go, yes.
And if this
They
had been
know my
picked up-
condition, and they know how I react.
Yes.
Now, last time I got arrested, I've got no idea about it, but apparently there was allegations and armed police, everything. Right?
Yeah.
Now, they know how noise triggers my condition.
Yeah.
And I've had to endure my door being banged for 5.5 years.
Yeah.
As my mother made a statement to Chris Frain and Mark Abrahams in the house,
Yeah.
it's on voice recording,
Yeah.
if I didn't know better, I think you were trying to get it where he'd have gone off on someone and have hurt someone so bad he'd have gone to prison the rest of his life, or he'd have killed himself.
Right.
Okay? Now what I would advise, and my best advice to you,
Yeah.
the way this has been handled,
Yeah.
Mental Health Merthyr, Merthyr Police and Merthyr Council have been the three musketeers.
Yeah.
All together and all for one, yeah?
And what I said
And I've
there-
shown this. Now, I am speaking to solicitor. I'm not just coming down here
that's fine.
and pulling these facts.
Yeah.
I was charged.
Yes.
I was charged with harassment,
Yes.
and I should have been in court.
Yes.
The CPS was in court on preliminary for this court case to go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah? We're agreeing with that.
Yeah.
Now, you had enough evidence to charge me.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You had enough evidence to charge me with harassment of Chris Frayne, Mark Abrams and Juliet Sear, who work for Merthyr Mental Health of Cwmtaf Health Authority.
Yeah.
And on the same day I phoned for my mental health records, which they are doing everything they can not to hand them over, because I voice recorded everything. Everything was dropped in the courts. Now, let's be realistic. This comes to a jury and it's explained that way. If you were on a jury, would you find it too much of a coincidence?
I mean, that does sound.
You know,
if
there's
it was
too much
exactly
of
the
a
same
cover-up.
day, if it was exactly the same day.
Exactly
that
the
you
same
ran-
day. And I phoned
Yeah.
Merthyr magistrates and they'll back it up.
I mean, all I can go on is the information I had from CPS
Yeah.
as to the reasons they dropped
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
And-
all I could.
I
that's all
know
could
that the
do.
police were notified because Chris Frayne is a police liaison bloke.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and his daddy was a policeman. And he you know, because I even got it on voice recording, he's a pathetic piece of shit. He thinks he's a policeman, nurse, doctor. Yeah, the amount, he'll never work again when it's all played. He's the one who told my mother, when my mother said about the police and ambulance being at my house. And she said, none of you would leave. When I phoned Cwmtaf, none of you would tell me what was going on. He turned to my mother and said, I think I can speak for John. He didn't want you to know he was dead. I've told that, that's in my interview that was taken for the CPS to press charges, so it's on there.
Yeah.
I left nothing to go.
No. Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
And I've looked in as well.
It-
But then,
Cwmtaf Health Authority's done far worse than to counselling yourselves.
yes.
And if you want to go down with them, that's fine by me.
No, right.
But you've buried yourselves in Sullivan coming up the house was on recording. The Bell End Sergeant was on the leaflets telling me, he come on the phone, sound enough in the beginning, oh, you were in the army, you know what it's like in these things. There's good, there's bad, blah, 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 yeah. And then goes on then to say, oh, how it works in Merthyr, if someone in a uniform is somewhere and he tells someone else in a uniform, then that person can say they were there as well.
And that's the Neil. That's the
Yeah.
Neil one.
And then, you know, to finish it off then, what he was starting to do was talk over me and saying, oh, you're over-talking me. Or anyone who puts a complaint in about the police has got a chip on their shoulder. I think I've got a good chip when the Sullivan comes up my house and lies. Me and my mother didn't need that. Being called a mental in the shop. I know, no offence, you got upset with your friend,
Yeah.
and I done.
Yeah, no.
How would it have affected his health if all the kids around him knew his business and he was kicking the door?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll say that now. That's unacceptable. It's not
apart from
unacceptable.
that, I said up there,
Yeah.
she not only broke the data protection,
Hmm.
she broke Article 8 of the Human Rights Act, and she broke the Caldecott principles of our own national health.
Well, it don't
No, I
matter.
told
We'll have to
them
find
all
out who
this.
it was
I was gonna
first.
say, yeah. So
Yeah.
We'll have to
Let's-
find out. And if
Right.
if these for some miraculous reason and it comes across or they've been lost, no offence, like it does with the police all the time,
yeah. Okay.
then it is a case. The leaflets have all been done. They're in places, ready to go off.
Yeah.
It's all out of your hands now.
Well, look,
Okay.
the purpose of today was so I can kind of say that, look, I've got this now, and this is what I'm doing so far.
But you'll
So-
admit there's no... Why my solicitor or myself was never contacted by the police
Yeah.
when it was made clear on that letter from that superintendent?
Yeah.
Because I'm a great believer, because I was in the army and there's an old saying,
Yeah.
shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
His name on leaflets calling him a lying cunt. And Merthyr police say it. We'll soon see how much the shit will roll down from him.
This will all be included in now what I'm going to look
Yes.
at. So, and that's what I'll write up for you.
But I
as a
do,
reference.
as I said, if there's thing about, or there's yous in there,
Yeah.
delete all the yous names, delete what they said.
Yeah.
It's the people who give my information
So
to
let
them.
me give you an update as to where we are.